The alarm screamed through the colony station at 3 in the morning. Devon Clarke bolted upright in bed, heart hammering as red emergency lights strobed through the viewport. Beside him, Kira stirred, her violet skin glowing faintly in the crimson wash. Her 4 eyes opened in sequence, the way they always did, and Devon saw fear bloom in each one. "What's happening?" she whispered. He was already moving, pulling on clothes, checking his datapad. The message flashed across every screen on the station. War. The Veloran Empire had attacked a human outpost. 12,000 dead. Retaliation was imminent. Devon's blood turned to ice. "No," Kira breathed, reading over his shoulder. "No, this can't be. Father promised me there would be peace." Devon turned to her. This woman he'd loved for 2 years. This princess who'd given up everything to be with him in secret, on this neutral station where humans and Velorans traded and coexisted. They'd married in a quiet ceremony, with only 2 witnesses, knowing both their governments would call it treason. "We need to leave," Devon said. "Now, before someone remembers you're here." But it was already too late. The door to their quarters exploded inward. Veloran Imperial guards poured through, their armor gleaming black, weapons raised. Kira stepped in front of Devon instinctively, her hands up. "I am Princess Kira Thalen," she declared, her voice steady despite the terror Devon could see in her trembling hands. "You will stand down." The lead guard lowered his weapon slightly. "Your Highness, the Emperor demands your immediate return. There is a ship waiting." "I'm not going anywhere," Kira said. The guard's expression hardened. "Forgiveness, Princess, but those are not your orders to refuse. You will come with us. Now." Devon stepped forward. "She's not going without me." The guard didn't even look at him. 2 soldiers grabbed Devon's arms, slamming him against the wall hard enough to knock the wind from his lungs. Kira screamed, lunging for him, but more guards restrained her. "Devon!" she cried out, struggling against their grip. "The human stays here," the lead guard said coldly. "Emperor's orders. Only the princess returns." They dragged Kira toward the door. She fought them every step, calling Devon's name, her voice breaking. Devon struggled against the soldiers holding him, but they were too strong, their armor too heavy. He watched helplessly as they hauled her into the corridor. "I'll find you," he shouted. "Kira, I'll find you, I promise." Her eyes locked on his one last time before they rounded the corner. Then she was gone. The soldiers released Devon and left without a word. He collapsed to his knees in the wreckage of their quarters, surrounded by shattered glass and scattered belongings, the life they'd built together destroyed in minutes. The war Devon had hoped would never come had arrived, and it had taken everything. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of hell as the Veloran fleet carved through human defenses like they were paper. Their weapons technology was decades ahead. Their ships moved faster, hit harder, shielded better. Humanity was losing, badly, and the casualty reports climbed into the millions. Devon worked 20-hour days at the human command station they'd converted the colony into, analyzing Veloran tactics, searching for weaknesses. But every night, alone in temporary quarters, he searched for something else, information about Kira. It took bribing a Veloran defector and hacking into 3 secure databases, but he finally found it. I intercepted communication from the Imperial Palace. Princess Kira Thalen was being held in the Central Tower, awaiting trial for treason. Her crime, marrying a human. The penalty, public execution. Devon's hands shook as he read the report. The execution was scheduled for 6 days from now. A message to humanity, the Emperor had declared. A demonstration that even royal blood would not be spared if contaminated by human contact. He had 6 days to save his wife. Devon requested an audience with Admiral Chen, the ranking human officer on the station. The Admiral listened to his plan with a stone face. "You want me to authorize a stealth mission into the heart of Veloran space to rescue an enemy princess?" Chen said flatly. "She's not the enemy," Devon insisted. "She's been feeding us intelligence. How do you think we knew about the supply depot at Kepler Station? Or the weakness in their shield harmonics? You've been in contact with her?" "No, but I know her. She wouldn't sit idle while her people slaughtered mine." Devon leaned forward. "Admiral, she has access to everything. If we can get her out, she could turn this war around. Chen stood, walking to the viewport overlooking the station's docking bays. Even if I believed you, I can't spare the resources for a suicide mission. We're barely holding the line as it is. I'm sorry, Clarke. Your wife made her choice when she married you. She knew the risks. Then I'm going alone. You're too valuable here. That's an order, engineer. Devon left the office knowing he'd ignore that order. He had 6 days. He'd need a ship, weapons, and someone crazy enough to help him. He found Maya Torres in the pilot's ready room, running combat simulations. She'd been his best friend since Flight Academy. Before he'd washed out and gone into engineering, she was the best pilot humanity had, with 17 confirmed kills and nerves of titanium. I need a favor, Devon said. Maya paused her simulation, turning to look at him with dark, knowing eyes. How illegal are we talking? Steal a stealth ship, penetrate Veloran space, infiltrate the Imperial Palace, and rescue the Crown Princess illegal. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. Kira always did have good taste. When do we leave? They launched at midnight in a captured Veloran scout ship, small and fast, equipped with a cloaking system Devon had modified to mask their human energy signatures. Maya flew like a demon, threading through Veloran patrol routes using outdated navigation data Kira had given Devon months ago, back when they'd talked about contingencies neither wanted to believe they'd need. She really gave you emergency codes to the Imperial Palace? Maya asked as they approached Veloran Prime, the massive planet looming green and silver ahead. She said if anything ever happened, I'd need a way to reach her. Devon pulled up the codes on his console. I just never thought I'd actually use them. Love makes people do crazy things, Maya said. Like stealing ships and invading enemy homeworlds. They slipped past the orbital defense platforms, the cloak holding. Devon's heart thundered in his chest as Veloran Prime grew larger in the viewport. Somewhere down there, Kira was waiting. Somewhere down there, she was counting the hours until her execution. He wasn't going to let her die alone. The Palace District sprawled across the northern continent, a complex of towers and domes that housed the imperial family and their government. Maya brought them down in an industrial zone 3 kilometers away, landing in a maintenance bay Devon's codes marked as abandoned. I'll wait here with the ship ready, Maya said, checking her weapons. You've got 4 hours before the patrol cycle resets. After that, we're flying blind. Devon nodded, securing his own pistol and the compact plasma cutter he'd need to breach the palace cells. He pulled up a holographic map of the palace on his wrist display. Kira's cell was in the central tower, 20 floors up, behind God knew how many guards. If I'm not back in 4 hours, leave without me, Devon said. Maya grabbed his arm. Devon, I didn't fly across enemy space to leave you behind. 4 hours. I'll be here. He made it 2 kilometers before the alarm started screaming. Security drones swarmed from every direction, their sensors locked on his human heat signature. Devon ran, ducking into an alley as plasma bolts scorched the wall behind him. His codes had gotten him this far, but someone had detected the intrusion. He heard Maya's voice crackling over his comm. Devon, you've got incoming. Half the palace guard just mobilized. Keep the ship ready, he shouted back, vaulting over a barrier as more drones converged. He wasn't going to make it. There were too many, and they were herding him away from the palace, away from Kira. Then he heard the explosion. Maya's ship roared overhead, weapons blazing, drawing every drone and guard in the district. She was making herself the target, pulling their attention away from him. Devon's stomach dropped. Maya, no! Get out of there! 4 hours, remember? Her voice was calm, almost amused. Go get your girl, Devon. I'll buy you time. He wanted to argue, wanted to order her back, but he knew that tone. Maya had made her choice. Devon turned and ran toward the palace, tears streaming down his face as plasma fire lit the sky behind him. The palace was chaos. Guards rushed past Devon without a second glance, all focused on the attack outside. He used Kira's codes to slip through side passages and service corridors, climbing higher into the central tower. His wrist display guided him through the maze until he reached the detention level. 2 guards stood outside a reinforced door, Devon didn't hesitate. He dropped the first with a plasma bolt to the chest, the second before he could raise his weapon. Devon dragged their bodies aside and entered the code sequence. The door slid open. Kira stood in the center of a bare cell, her violet skin bruised, her elegant robes torn and dirty. When she saw him, her 4 eyes went wide. "Devon?" she whispered, as if she couldn't believe he was real. "How did you?" He crossed the cell in 2 strides and pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly he was afraid he might hurt her. She clung to him just as fiercely, her whole body shaking. "I told you I'd find you," he said into her hair. "You shouldn't have come," Kira said, pulling back to look at him. "Father knows about us. Devon, he planned this. All of it." "What are you talking about?" "The war," her voice broke. "He engineered it. He wanted to flush out anyone in the Empire with human sympathies. I wasn't the only one who believed in peace. There were hundreds of us, maybe thousands. He used the war as an excuse to expose us all." Devon felt sick. The attack on the outpost? A false flag. He killed his own people and blamed it on humans to justify the war. Kira's hands gripped his arms. "Father isn't trying to conquer humanity. He's trying to purify Veloran society, and I gave him the perfect excuse when I married you." Before Devon could respond, the cell door burst open again. Emperor Thalen himself stood there, flanked by a dozen elite guards. He was tall, imposing, his violet skin darker than Kira's, his 6 eyes cold and calculating. "How touching," Thalen said, his voice dripping contempt. The traitor princess and her human pet reunited at last. Devon moved to shield Kira, but the guards were already surrounding them, weapons raised. Thalen stepped into the cell, looking at his daughter with something like disappointment. "I gave you everything," he said. "Power, privilege, a future as Empress. And you threw it away for this." He gestured dismissively at Devon. "I threw it away for love," Kira said, her voice steady now. "Something you've never understood. Love is weakness." Thalen turned to Devon. "I'll make you an offer, human. Renounce my daughter publicly. Declare your marriage a mistake. Do this, and I will order a ceasefire. Your people will have time to evacuate the border worlds before we resume our advance." "Don't," Kira said immediately. "Devon, don't you dare." Devon looked at the Emperor, then at Kira, then back. "No." Fallon's expression didn't change. "Then you will both die. Tomorrow. Publicly. I will broadcast your executions across both empires. Humanity will see their champion broken. My people will see the price of consorting with inferiors. They'll also see a tyrant murdering his own daughter," Devon said. "They'll see justice." Thalen nodded to his guards. "Take them to the execution chamber. Let them spend their last night together. A final mercy." As the guards dragged them away, Kira whispered in Devon's ear, "I need to tell you something. I haven't been idle these 3 weeks. They were locked in a holding cell beneath the palace, a bare room with stone walls and a single barred window." Devon held Kira as she explained everything. She'd been smuggling intelligence to human resistance cells for months before the war. Ship movements, weapon specifications, strategic plans. And most importantly, she'd discovered the location of the Veloran Fleet's Central Command node, a station in deep space that coordinated all military operations. "I got the information out 2 days ago," Kira said. "If your people received it, if they believed it, they could strike the node and cripple our entire fleet. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew you'd do something reckless, like this." She touched his face gently. "Devon, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. I'm sorry my father is a monster. How it could have slipped outside of our perimeters. How it could have slipped outside of our perimeters. How it could have slipped outside of our perimeters. How it could have slipped outside of our perimeters. How it could have slipped outside of our perimeters." They held each other through the night, whispering memories of their time together, making promises they both knew they couldn't keep. When dawn came, the guards returned. The execution chamber was an amphitheater open to the sky, surrounded by viewing platforms packed with Veloran nobles. Cameras broadcast the scene across the Empire. Devon and Kira were led to the center, forced to their knees before a raised platform where Emperor Thalen waited. Witnesses of the Veloran Empire, Thalen's voice boomed through the amphitheater. You see before you a traitor to her blood and the human who corrupted her. Let their deaths serve as a reminder that our species stands alone, supreme, uncorrupted by lesser races. He raised his hand, signaling the executioners to step forward. That's when the sky exploded. Human warships materialized from faster-than-light jumps directly over the palace. Dozens of them, weapons already firing. The orbital defense platforms tried to respond but were overwhelmed in seconds. The amphitheater erupted into chaos as nobles fled and guards scrambled for defensive positions. Kira's intelligence had reached human command, and they'd used it to devastating effect. The central command node was gone, along with half the Veloran fleet. The attack on the palace was a rescue operation. In the confusion, Kira grabbed Devon's arm. The east corridor, she hissed. There's a passage to the lower levels. They ran, but they weren't alone. A group of Veloran soldiers fell in around them, not attacking but escorting. Their leader, a scarred veteran, nodded to Kira. Princess. We've been waiting for this. Many of us oppose the Emperor's war. We're with you. They fought through the palace as human strike teams breached the outer walls. Devon grabbed a fallen guard's weapon, covering Kira as they descended deeper into the palace complex. But when they reached the main power junction, alarms blared a new warning. The doomsday protocol had been activated. Kira pulled up a security terminal, her face going pale as she read the display. Father activated the Genesis weapon, targeting Earth. Devon's blood turned to ice. The Genesis weapon was a nightmare from intelligence briefings, a planet killer that could ignite a world's atmosphere and turn it into a burning wasteland. If it fired, Earth would die. Billions of people gone. How long? He demanded. 18 minutes until it reaches firing range. The weapon control room was at the top of the central tower. They'd have to go back up, through the fighting, through the chaos. Devon started running. Devon, wait! Kira called after him. He stopped, turning back. We can't let that weapon fire. I know, but there's something you need to understand. She moved closer, studying his face. You're not just an engineer, are you? The way you move, the way you fight. I've seen soldiers move like that. Elite soldiers. Devon hesitated. He'd kept this from her for 2 years. Kept it from everyone since he'd left the service. But she deserved the truth. I was Black Ops, he said quietly. Deep cover, wet work, the jobs nobody talks about. I retired 5 years ago. Took a new identity, became an engineer, tried to leave that life behind. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to be Devon Clarke, the man who fell in love with you. Not the killer I used to be. He met her eyes. But right now, Earth needs that killer back. Kira nodded slowly. Then she pulled a data chip from her robes. My royal access codes. Every door, every system in this palace. Use them. Together they ascended the tower, moving like ghosts through the chaos. Devon's old training came flooding back, muscle memory taking over. He dropped guards with brutal efficiency, each movement precise and lethal. The loyal Veloran soldiers cleared their path, fighting their own comrades to buy them time. 12 minutes until the weapon fired. They reached the control room to find Emperor Thalen waiting, flanked by his personal guard. He smiled coldly when he saw them. I wondered if you'd figure it out in time, he said, but you're too late. The weapon fires in 11 minutes. Nothing can stop it now. I can, Devon said, raising his weapon. Dalen's guards opened fire. Devon moved, faster than seemed possible, dropping behind cover and returning fire with inhuman precision. He'd been one of the best. Once. He remembered how. Kira used her royal codes to access the control terminal, her fingers flying across the interface as she tried to override the firing sequence. But it was locked, encrypted with codes only the Emperor could access. Give me the abort codes, Devon demanded, advancing on Thalen as his guards fell one by one. Never, Thalen spat. I'll burn your world to ashes. Father, please, Kira shouted. This has to end. It ends when humanity is extinct. Devon shot the last guard and leveled his weapon at the Emperor. The codes. Thalen laughed. Kill me, and the codes die with me. Earth dies. Your choice, human. 8 minutes. Devon's finger tightened on the trigger. Every instinct screamed at him to fire, to end this monster. But Thalen was right. Without the codes, they couldn't stop the weapon. Then Kira spoke, her voice deadly calm. Father, you forget. I'm your daughter. I have your genetic signature. She pressed her hand to the biometric scanner on the terminal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the system chimed, accepting her as valid Imperial authority. The firing sequence codes appeared on the screen. Thalen's expression twisted with rage. You have no authority to abort without my authorization. The system won't accept it. No, Kira said, her fingers moving across the controls, but I can redirect it. She entered a new set of coordinates. The weapon's targeting system shifted, swinging away from Earth, toward Veloran Prime. Thalen lunged for the console, but Devon was faster. He fired once, the plasma bolt taking the Emperor in the chest. Thalen collapsed, gasping, his blood pooling on the floor. You've killed us all, he wheezed. No, Kira said, standing over her father. I've saved everyone. She pressed the final command. But instead of firing, the weapon's power core began a controlled shutdown. She'd used the redirect command to trigger a safety protocol, one designed to prevent accidental planetary destruction. The weapon would be offline for hours, long enough for human forces to destroy it completely. Earth was saved. Thalen stared up at his daughter, betrayal and hatred warring in his eyes. Traitor, he whispered. No, Kira said softly. Patriot. A true leader protects her people. All people. Not just her own species. You forgot that. She turned away from him, focusing on the terminal. With quick commands, she accessed the palace's main broadcast system and opened a channel to every screen in both empires. People of Velora, citizens of humanity, she began, her voice steady and clear. I am Princess Kira Thalen. For months, I have witnessed my father's crimes. He engineered this war through false flag attacks. He murdered his own people to justify genocide. I have documented evidence of all of it, and I am transmitting it now. Devon watched as she uploaded files, thousands of them, proof of every atrocity Thalen had committed. Secret orders, fabricated intelligence reports, communications with the conspirators who'd helped him stage the attack on the human outpost. The evidence was damning, irrefutable. The war is over, Kira declared. I call on all Veloran forces to stand down. I call on the noble houses to convene and remove my father from power. And I call on humanity to accept our surrender and our apology. She looked at Devon, tears streaming down her face. We can be better than this. Both our peoples. We can choose peace over fear, love over hatred. We must, or we doom ourselves to extinction. The broadcast ended. For a moment, silence filled the control room. Then reports started flooding in. Veloran ships standing down. Noble houses declaring their support for Kira. Human forces halting their advance. It was over. Emperor Thalen died in that control room, his empire crumbling around him. Kira held Devon's hand as they watched her father's last breath, neither of them speaking. There would be trials, she knew, investigations, rebuilding. The scars of the war wouldn't heal quickly, but they would heal. 2 months later, Devon stood beside Kira on a stage built on the neutral colony station where they'd first met. Representatives from both governments watched as they renewed their vows, this time publicly, legally, with both empires as witnesses. It wasn't just a wedding. It was a symbol, proof that two species could bridge the gap between them. Admiral Chen attended, along with the other human commanders. The Veloran Noble Council sent delegates. Even Maya Torres was there, recovered from her injuries sustained during the palace attack, grinning as she watched her best friend marry the woman he'd crossed an empire to save. When Devon kissed Kira, the crowd erupted in applause from both species. Think we can make this work? Devon whispered to his wife. Kira smiled, all 4 eyes bright with joy. We already have. Above them, human and Veloran ships flew in formation, a joint patrol protecting the station, the first of many collaborations to come. The galaxy was changing, had changed, because two people chose love over hate, sacrifice over safety. Humanity had proven what it could do when pushed to the edge, not through superior weapons or tactics, but through the simple, revolutionary act of refusing to give up on those they loved. That was the truth Devon had revealed, not his past as a soldier, but his identity as someone who would fight impossible odds for the people who mattered. And in the end, that made all the difference.